up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Blockbuster Mentality. I'm your host, Ben. Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to us on iTunes, rate and review us. Takes 30 seconds. Just do it. We'd appreciate it. Follow us on Twitter at BlockbusterCast, Instagram at Blockbuster Mentality, and also our website, blockbustermentality.com. All three of those platforms, you can get information on the show when new episodes come out and all that fun. Today's episode is one for the books. It's going to go down in history for many reasons. It was you're about to find out, because we had on actor Matt Walsh. You may know from Veep. He's been in a ton of things. I should say Emmy nominated. Two-time Emmy-nominated Matt Walsh, and we do talk about that. He's been in semi-pro, role models, old school. I mean, you name it, he's been in it. Great guy, hilarious. He decided to talk Blade Runner with us. So that's one of the reasons it's memorable. First of all, it's Matt Walsh. Second of all, the things we talked about, the things that we brought up, all the major themes of the film, which is always a highlight for movie fans. But idiot me, as we were wrapping up the show, I kicked the plug of my computer in which the Zoom meeting was being held on, the interview was being held on. So we lost Matt at the end. Frantically, we're trying to get him back, emailing his publicist and all that. But he was also trying to get a hold of us. And I'm gonna read you a text exchange he thought he was sending to our producer, but he was sending it to someone else. He was one number off. And here's the text exchange. Matt said, "Lauren, it's Matt Walsh. The guys were going to ask me one last question, but they got disconnected. Perhaps you can send me the question, and I will send you an audio file to wrap up the episode." The person who he texted replied, "Hi, Matt. Sorry to hear that. The final question should have been, what is the difference between a garbanzo bean and a chickpea?" The answer, Matt, is that I've never wanted to have a garbanzo bean on my face. Matt responded, "That's so clever. I didn't get it right away." And then they responded, "Did you send the audio, though?" And it looks like he did end up sending them an audio message, but we'll get to that. And then hours later, again, this is him screenshotting it to Lauren. Hours later, they sent a picture of Matt Walsh to Matt Walsh and asked, "So I have to ask, since my sister is convinced, are you this guy?" And again, a picture of Matt Walsh, and Matt Walsh said, "That is me." And then they said, "This is the best wrong number text ever. Thanks for the great Thanksgiving story." And he said, "Meant to text Lauren at 7397. Amazing story indeed. Sorry to have bothered you, but for some reason I thought you were a producer for this podcast I had just been cut off from. Happy Thanksgiving, and thanks for the garbanzo joke." So first of all, amazing for him to try to reach out and wrap up the episode for us. Super nice of him to do. He did not have to do that. He did end up sending us a clip, which we'll play later on. But yeah, that is great. Whoever those wrong number people were, again, it made their weekend. I got a real kick out of it, and I thought you guys would too. But yeah, idiot me kicked the plug and ended the episode prematurely. We were wrapping up at least, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. But anyway, here's the full, semi-full conversation of me and Dave talking to Matt Walsh about Blade Runner.
I felt so bad. I'm like, just give them anything. I felt terrible, but I was at my daughter's hockey. That's real.
Well, we now have you for 3.5 hours.
Yeah. What? How dare you?
I know.
Let's do this. I'm so sorry. I'm not usually a flake. But...
No, you're good, bro.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm worried about, kidney transplant, heart arrhythmia, diabetes, and it turns out it's just a hockey game, Matt.
It was my daughter's hockey game. I've been gone for 4 weeks. Are we rolling? This is too good for to miss.
Of course.
We can edit out anything, but yes, we are rolling.
I have been on the road for 5 weeks, and so this is the first time I got to go to my daughter's hockey.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
And it doesn't apologize for being late and also missing the commitment on the calendar, but that is the real deal.
I love that you still showed up. We were having beers, just enjoying ourselves.
Yeah.
So no harm, no foul.
Not at all.
We appreciate you making the time, my man. So hockey? I mean, you're in LA, right? Is hockey big?
Roller hockey.
Roller hockey, nice.
Yeah, it's a place if you have kids or even grown-ups play roller hockey there.
Oh, nice.
It's at Magnolia Park in North Hollywood.
So are you a hockey guy?
Well, through my kids, I am. I never played it myself, but I discovered this wonderful program called it's called Cage Hockey, and they do a really good job of developing like fundamental skills. And both my kids played it. Emmy played it, and he stopped. But you learn to skate, and she loves skating. So it's rollerblading basically, and then full hockey equipment, and she likes it.
Has she taken anyone's head off yet?
It's contact, but they watch that. There's penalties. Like they have a penalty box. It's funny to see like a 7-year-old in the penalty box. If you trip or you do, there's generally not too much checking, even accidental. But if you do something like that, you'll get put in the penalty box.
Yeah.
Even if it's accidental high sticking, they'll put you in the penalty box.
Not to make this a typical interview, but where did you grow up? Were you a hockey guy growing up?
No. You already asked me this question.
Yeah, I was wondering why the replay.
I know.
I didn't know.
I didn't say growing up before is the thing.
Yeah, that's a growing up qualifier. All right, are you a sports guy at all?
I see Secord. That's a hockey family, by the way.
Wow, very good. Al Secord played for Chicago Blackhawks.
Ben's cousin.
He did. Yeah, he did.
I am
sports-wise. I do follow Chicago teams, but I've never. I played. Last time I played organized hockey was high school, and we won our intramural floor hockey championship.
Oh wow! Well, we are in the presence of greatness right now, Dave.
I have to ask. Ben is not going to like this question, but are we going to be subject to a hall monitor presence with the? Are we chaperoning this, Matt, or can we have a free conversation without
free conversation? Okay. I have the room.
Excellent.
He has the room. Beautiful.
I have the room.
Go
away.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to join us. What's been going on?
Where have you been for 5 weeks?
I had a bunch of. You're gonna cut this stuff. This is so boring.
No.
I went to Vegas to see the Bears play the Raiders, and then I was back, and then I had a wedding in Chicago. Then I went to Montreal for like 10 days of work, and then I was back, and then I went to New York for like 15 days of work, and I just got back like Tuesday.
Any projects that you can tease to us? I know, Hollywood types are very touchy about mentioning anything that they might be in or they might possibly be in, or even something that is basically already done, but they still can't mention. But please do so if you could.
The thing I'll promote is I started a rewatch podcast because the world needs more rewatch podcasts.
Definitely.
With Tim Simons from Veep. With Tim Simons from Veep. So.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
We're just going to go through every episode, and we're finishing season 1 right about next week.
Do you remember the first season? Our buddy Dan Franco was the sick guy.
Yeah. You're buddies with Dan?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep, he's a multiple guest on the show. He's
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good friend of the show.
Board member of the show. We think he's risen to board member.
Board member. Yep, he's a board member of Blockbuster Mentality.
Is he? And he's an East Coast guy.
Yeah, Baltimore.
But your guys are here in LA, right?
No, we're in beautiful Tampa Bay area.
Oh, you're in Tampa.
Yeah.
Oh, I always assume people are out here. That's cool.
Yeah.
How did you meet Dan? Just through this?
Yeah, I don't know who reached out to who, but yeah, he was a fan of the show.
Yeah, for some reason, he liked the show. So
that's real.
He came on.
It.
But yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, he spoke your high praises when I told him you were coming on the show. He loves you. So
He's
shout
great.
out.
Yeah, he got a shout out this season actually. He had
Oh,
a
nice.
nice episode. So
Great actor.
He gets a nice shout out this first season of the podcast.
Love it. Love it.
So Matt, you really haven't been in a lot of things throughout your career. When are you going to get your chance maybe to just even make a minor appearance in a movie or a TV show?
I've been very fortunate. Yes, but I like to work, I guess, and I like doing comedy. So I'm always interested in either doing a funny thing that I get to read or contribute to, or working with friends that I really like. So
Yeah.
I am an easy yes if it's funny. That's true.
We love guests that talk and are easy. But yeah, man. As Dave alluded to, yeah. I mean, you've been in a time. I went to California for the first time in my life last week, and Old School came on Comedy Central or FX Comedy Central, one of the stations. And I forgot you were in that, and I was like, "Hey, honey, I'm talking to him next week." Oh my goodness! But then when your daughter,
I'm not watching a dumb comedy. I'm doing research.
Yes,
There are no dumb
background.
Yeah. By the way, what are you snacking on and drinking? Just so we can all.
You can plug whatever. This is Aha soda water.
Ooh,
Nice.
And then I scored a fat Kit Kat when I had to run out.
that's what I'm talking about.
So kind of calories low on the drink, but indulge on the food.
Yeah, it's called the Big Cat.
Nice.
Ooh.
If you want to get it right, it's the Big Cat.
Yeah, so we can. Do we have a deal with Kit Kat, Ben? I don't.
We can get one.
so.
We can get one. I mean, we'll see what
I had
happens.
to get movie candy. My son's friends came over and they didn't have any movie candy, so I had to run out.
What's the spread like at the films and the TV shows? I mean, because since you're a Kit Kat guy, I kind of like to indulge. Maybe do you kind of scout out the sandwiches or what's the deal there?
What do you mean? Be more specific.
So, like, when you arrive at the set, I assume that everything is lavishly catered. Is there something that you kind of go after when you kind of set your sight
I
on?
see. Like, what's my go-to?
Yeah.
Or what do I like to see on the table? This doesn't demonstrate it, but I'm actually a pretty healthy eater. I give some credit to my wife for like changing my bachelor eating habits. But like, if it's on set, I don't know. I always grab tons of salad at lunch. This is really, you're going to cut this
Yeah, it's
part
very
out. I always
boring,
eat
no.
tons of salad.
We don't cut shit, bro.
Okay. Oh, you're lazy. I love that. Just.
I love that he knows we're lazy. That's why.
I just figured the guy with the giant Kit Kat would maybe have some sort of indulgence. No, I mean, you're like, I like the Caesar salad.
My Achilles heel, which is very similar to this thing, is those Nutty Buddy bars that Little Debbie makes.
Ooh, no.
You know what I'm talking about?
That is pristine. I eat those in layers. I'll eat the top part, and like that is
very similar to the fat Kit Kat, actually.
Yes,
And
it
it's
is. Oh, I love it. Good stuff.
But that's not really on set usually. That's like
Yeah, save that for your personal time.
Now, obviously, we're a movie show, so we're gonna get into the movie Blade Runner that you chose in a second here.
Very excited for that choice,
yes,
by the way.
Yes, we are very excited.
I have to say it's a lot of pressure because going on to this, like, it's almost like you're saying, what movie are you an expert on, really? And I'm not really an expert on, but it is a movie I could talk about and feel like it's worthy of talking about.
Well, that's
you know what I mean?
yeah. That's kind of how we are. It's you don't have to be an expert on it, but it's a movie that you find just inspires you or just kind of makes you think and makes you want to talk about.
Yeah. So you're a comedy. Sorry, Ben, but you're a comedy guy, Matt. Not that funny people are necessarily dumb or anything like that. Not to say that, but this is a very sort of intellectual movie, I would say. It kind of gets the
you basically just called our guest dumb,
but it gets the gears grinding. I was curious sort of why this movie versus not that you were to pick a classic comedy or anything like that, but you're a funny guy, but this is a pretty heavy movie, I would say. It's pretty deep.
I think like the creatures, like the fact that they're almost human is fascinating to me. That they want to be human at their core. This is how bad of a guess I am. What are they actually called? They're not
replicants. Yeah.
Replicants, yeah.
Replicants. And yet they have almost everything that we have, but obviously they can't create offspring and their memories are implanted and they have a much more limited time period of existence. But everything else, at least by the ones that we get to know in that movie, they have the same wants and dreams and sort of needs for socialization. Obviously, they're very like fierce warriors too, because they were created for strength missions or mining missions or whatever they get used for by the humans.
Yeah.
Whatever Terrell made them for. But and also the fact that Harrison Ford turns out to be a replicant is mind blowing in a way that because you watch him the whole movie. In the director's cut is where they really show you that he's a replicant.
So that's where you stand, is that Harrison Ford
what's going to be a debate
is a replicant.
Well, if you watch the second one, did you see the recent Blade Runner?
Yeah.
He's 100% a replicant.
Yeah, that's what kind of gives it away for me.
Well, I don't know. The 2049, I think they still kind of leave it. I think they leave it a little ambiguous.
And what I 100%. I mean, I disagree because, like they said, it's a miraculous child. Like the fact that she was protected and no two replicants could ever have offspring. They're basically saying it's a miracle child. It's not saying like a half human, half replicant survived. They're saying a pure replicant offspring was created. And so he's half of that, he sired that child.
Right, so I saw it as that a replicant itself could reproduce, but I see your point. Although, who is Deckard, right? He seemingly ages like a human, and so, I don't know, I feel like in 2049, they didn't completely answer that question. Now, I know Ridley Scott has come back, or has said off in interviews that Deckard is a replicant, but since we're on this topic now, I kind of wonder if that... I feel like in the first Blade Runner, it was left purposely ambiguous, although there were heavy hints to it. But I wonder if it does cheapen the story a little bit, in the sense that Deckard... Let's just assuming my argument is true, that he is a human being who is seeing his own humanity being eroded by the fact that he's living in this crazy world, one. Number two, that he's set to kill all these replicants, and then he meets replicants who are then becoming more human than he is. So I think that almost makes a better story, I guess. So maybe I'm more biased in that sense than if he himself was a replicant, because we get Roy Batty. I guess we're just working through the whole movie here. We get Roy Batty, who is a replicant clearly, and then who shows himself to be the most human of all of the characters. So I kind of like that conflict that we get. Just to sum up, we get Deckard on the one end, who is a human being, who's finding his humanity degrading, who comes in contact with these replicants who are in fact showing themselves to be more human than human. And so that's what I kind of like. But maybe Matt, if you feel like that's wrong, why Deckard being a replicant would be better, because the movies never really say exactly. I think I think it's left enough ambiguous for us to argue about. And I don't know maybe what we think would be better for the story.
Well, I understand like withholding the mystery makes it more intriguing. So in a way, the first version of Blade Runner that came out was more mysterious about Deckard's being a replicant or not, certainly. There was a lot of hints there, but they never came out and said it exactly.
Right.
So yeah, but in a world where like the director's cut leaves less question about whether he's a replicant, and then the 2049 version, like it's 100% he's a replicant in my mind. And also the fact that Ryan Gosling, the Blade Runner in that one, is 100% replicant means like they probably choose replicants to find replicants, to track replicants, and to battle them because they're as fierce and physically strong and capable as as other replicants. Granted, Harrison Ford did age. That's a good point. But I feel like that,
and he got the shit kicked out of him in this movie. I mean, he couldn't stand up to them.
He does get the shit kicked out of him, but he hangs in there. But you're right, like a human, he does get the shit kicked out of him, which leaves the mystery of it. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's they are what they are. The first Blade Runner is kind of perfect for what it is. I think I'm just a fan, 100% all the way. And then the director's cut, I'm 100% fan of. I love it all the way. And then the 2049, I saw it twice in the movie theater. I'm a huge fan, 100%.
Same.
So I'm on board with the series. It's kind of like the Planet of the Apes. Anytime they make the new reboot of the Planet of the Apes, I'm just going to say, what are you talking about? It's Planet of the Apes.
Right, yeah.
You can either nitpick it. It's kind of like the last 6 Game of Thrones that came out or whatever they released in the final season. It's you could stretch it. You could if I made it, or what do you mean if you made it? The point is, it's Game of Thrones. It's still the best show on TV, and I'll take whatever I can get. I'm a fan. So I'm blind in that way.
I am
that,
too.
If I love a franchise like Blade Runner, you already got me. The fact that I'm sitting, it's like the Star Wars geeks is they're not going to see a lot of flaws in it, or they don't have a lot of expectations. They're just joyously living in the reboot or whatever the sequel is, So, yes, the mystery is perfect and beautiful in the first one, 100%, and it's definitely left intentionally up. Even though he folds the little origami thing at the end, that that's kind of saying he's, because I read the book Electric. What is it? Android's Dream of Electric Sheep.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, Dick. Yeah.
And that's pretty clear that their memories are similar, and I think they might even talk about they all maybe have memories of origami or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But to me, that was such a when Edward James almost leaves that folded up little horse or whatever it is.
Yeah, the unicorn.
Yeah, the unicorn. Excuse me. That to me was almost a reveal in my mind, and you can take away whatever you want as your journey watching the first time. That to me was he's probably a replicant. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's
sort of tagging him.
That's the beauty of movies, is just you take away what you take away. You might take away something different. I might take away something different. Dave takes away the wrong thing. And it's but yeah, I mean, one of the main things that makes me think that Deckard is a replicant is they hint towards it a little bit. When he first meets Rachel, he finds out that she's a replicant, but he tells Tyrell that she doesn't know she's a replicant. And then that right there is okay, so some replicants don't know they're a replicant. Kind of like, I guess you could say, M. Night Shyamalan stole a little bit of that with Sixth Sense. Some dead people don't know they're dead.
Right.
But, so yeah, that right there was just okay, yeah, he might be. And then you have all the dreams with the unicorn, and Edward James almost doing the origami with it. It's it's Ridley Scott does a great job of just keeping this ambiguous and everything like that. Now, are you a Ridley Scott guy at all, Matt? Or are you just a sci-fi guy?
No. I'm not always a sci-fi guy either, just for whatever reason. I think, yes, Ridley Scott's an amazing director, and I've probably seen most of what he's directed. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm probably going to like whatever he makes, or at least take a peek at it. But I think for me, the Blade Runner, it's such, I guess it's interesting. It's like Planet of the Apes. It's a metaphor for man.
Yeah.
They're not men, but we're watching a story and we have feelings for their humanity. So it's a way into examining what it is to be human.
Right.
We see Planet of the Apes as a way to, because we differentiate ourselves from the replicants in Blade Runner, but in so many ways they're the same.
Right.
So it's a way to investigate, what is it truly to be human? Is it simply that we can reproduce? Is it, our ability to collaborate? Is it our creativity? Is it our kindness and our lack of, or our sympathy and empathy. Like, seemingly one thing the replicants did lack was empathy, because you don't really see it in the movie. You don't see them do anything that shows empathy or like almost kindness. They have kindness for each other, but they're kind of on the run together, and they are like siblings, so it's familial, but in a way that like humans at their best could even show kindness to an enemy in a moment of vulnerability or in a moment of humaneness, if you will. That's something that the replicants in Blade Runner don't show. So in some ways, that is what makes us most human, is that softer side, that moment of just random act of kindness.
It's not just about survival. It's about just being kind to one another. Whereas with the replicants like Roy Batty, it's definitely about survival, because they have four years to live, I think, in the movie. Like, they have 4 years and then they're destroyed, and that's why they're on this mission to meet their maker, to find out, how can I survive longer. And Roy Batty even visits Tyrell to find that out. And I know me and Dave have talked so much about Ridley Scott films and how he is very interested in about meeting your maker. And it's
that was that came up in because Ridley Scott brought this up in Alien Covenant, I believe, and this idea of coming back to the person that created you. This is a big theme of his, and certainly going on here in Blade Runner. Roy Batty meets his maker and finds that his maker is in fact inferior to him, because he can destroy him, at least within the time that he has. I mean, we saw that with Tyrell. He's like, I want more life, and Tyrell basically explains, after you've been encoded, we tried all this stuff and we can't fix you, or we can't make it better, and so the solution is I'm killing my god. I can't I can't live any longer. I can't get more life, but I will kill the god that created me, or say kill the god that cursed me in another way, who gave me all this potential, but left me essentially empty in the end, because I know that my time is short. It's crazy stuff.
No, it is. It is deep, and it is like, you're right. It is meeting your maker, and it's interesting to think that like Tyrell in some ways is the most exalted human, because his intelligence and the kingdom he built and his inventions made him like Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos. He was an entrepreneur to the 100th degree, and so in many ways humanity idolizes that, and so he was at the top of the pyramid. But in some ways he didn't have that. Obviously, he didn't have that kindness to like address like a tiny puppy coming home to meet his daddy. He didn't have that human touch, did he? At all? No,
very matter of fact.
Very very autistic, or on the spectrum seeming. Like, he didn't have the that sounds bad to say on the spectrum, but he just was like, I don't mean it that way. He was just so cold and factual.
Yeah, he didn't do anything to comfort him.
He didn't register any emotional. He wasn't impacted by Rutger Hauer coming home.
He's very robotic, right? Very inhuman.
He was very replicant in that moment. So in some ways, it's not invention again, or success or money that makes us most human. It's being able to like comfort someone in a moment of need. Yeah, and he didn't have that.
Oh, failed, absolutely.
Yeah, he 100% failed. So it's interesting that that's in play. And the most fascinating thing about the movie is like, you could have very little plot, but that aesthetic and that future world that he created is just so compelling and interesting. And I could just watch that. I could just watch a movie set in that, even if the plot wasn't super tight and strong and as like intriguing as Blade Runner is. I'd almost be interested in a movie that was just set in that world, because it was so interesting. Just like the way when they went to visit the guy who made the eyes, and his English was like broken, and
Seinfeld fall.
Yeah.
Big Trouble in Little China.
And the open market and the constant rain and the weird vehicles and the way advertising. It was on blimps and it was LA still, but it was like so like nothing you'd ever seen.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. And interesting, Matt, because you said sort of like an Elon Musk on the top of a pyramid, and it's essentially that's literally what we get in the opening scene. Is this? Well, we go through these gas fired or refineries blowing up, flaming up, and then we go forward into this essentially a pyramid, literally.
Yes,
this giant. Yeah. And so let's talk a little bit about, the setting and, the sound as well. But the score is amazing.
Jealous?
Yeah, just incredible. In this whole world that's here. I find it and I think in 2049, since we brought it up, we might as well bring it in here because it's all the same universe. I think it did a slightly better job of showing what's going on in the universe. And I think, Ben, I think we mentioned maybe in that 2049 interview, which is, there's always this promise of off-world, go off-world.
Yeah.
And I would really like a movie that goes off-world. Show me what's there. Because here in Los Angeles, it's freaking terrible. And you can no wonder why human beings are losing their humanity and whatever the hell is going on here, Matt, in this time period. No wonder why everyone, we can't tell the difference between real and fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would assume Off-World's pretty bleak. I don't know why, but
well, they say like if you go here, it's going to be great. Do you think is that just a bad?
Well, I guess I'm judging it from the Blade Runner movie, not 2049. I feel like all that was Off-World was like these mining communities, because that's where we get the most detail of the off-world existence. Maybe, but that's from the replicant who are essentially indentured servants.
Yeah, they're just like slaves. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. It didn't seem appealing, but you're right. But in 2049, it's a little more detailed, and it probably is good for the humans and terrible for the replicants.
Like if you're wealthy or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, because in a way, the commingling of like, because Decker was walking about with like humans in LA and Blade Runner, and it was all very like working class kind of, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like it wasn't great for anybody.
Exactly.
Like a ton of like people living together of all different languages, and it kind of wasn't great for anybody, and it didn't seem like there was a lot of good life to be had on Earth, right? It's completely true.
Yeah, it was like a mass of just this like this huddled mass of misery, essentially.
Yeah,
and
like constant rain and like, and then the toy maker who they that guy's great too.
Fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
Creepy.
He makes eyes.
Yeah.
This is like horror movie stuff, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is scary. Like his existence, and he seems to have a good job because he's a designer, right? Mm-hmm. He kind of lived in a leaky building, and like he had a dry house, and he had toys he created to be his friends or his family, you know, those little creatures running around, home again, jiggity jig. But,
that one guy with
super lonesome.
The guy who had like the wires in his mouth, who was looking around. I'm like, okay, I can't handle this guy.
It's almost like Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
Stuff. Like it's,
he was like super lonesome, and like in a way, if you judge like the human standard, like if you could create a perfect human with like a renaissance of qualities, which is like intelligence and sensitivity and creativity and like logic, and like whatever Terrell entrepreneurship, whatever his gift was, if you could like put it in that, we never really see that person. And Decker, in a way, is the most humane character in the story, right? So it's just interesting. So we have like let's say he's a middle-class designer living in that apartment. He's kind of also robotic, isn't he? Like his demeanor, and like obviously never had a woman in his life. He obviously didn't have friends. And it's just interesting, like you don't really bump into any humans. Edward James Olmos is the other probably human that we meet. Probably human. Yeah,
Maybe.
I've never thought about him not being human, but
Yeah.
the way he pestered and bullied Decker, it made me think like, I'm of a class that you're not, you know?
Yeah, I get that sense too.
I mean, I'm not sure how you were when you did you originally see this when it came out, Matt? Or yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, was it? I mean, because
I'm old. Yeah, I am much older than you guys, but I probably saw it on video first.
Okay.
I probably didn't see it in the theaters.
I'm just curious your take on how, because I mean, obviously you had Star Wars with Harrison Ford, you had Indiana Jones with Harrison Ford. Do you think it was the fact that this was rated R, or that it was just totally out there for it not to be like a household name? Because it seems like this more got its legs as years went on, you know?
More of a cult movie, right?
Yeah, like it got its
More
legs
niche.
in this century, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, was it? Did you love it back then? And you know, and also, do you think it was almost hurt by the R rating? Well, I mean, what are your whole thoughts on that? If any of what I just said makes sense.
Yeah, speculating why it was like a late bloomer in the American culture. Let's say. I think it's probably a hard sell. Like it was always going to be an adult science fiction movie.
Is it a man's movie? Just to interrupt, is it more
versus woman?
No, yeah, but is it more for men than women? Because I think we had this thought on 2049. Because I think neither one of our wives really liked it.
Yeah,
or as both of us did.
Right.
Well, I wonder, like, if science fiction is a genre that's more like male or something. I suppose I'm sure more men fell in love with Blade Runner than women, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a good question. I think it didn't, because it was probably never going to be like mass appeal block, because it's not like Star Wars. They don't show gritty violence, even though it's science fiction. So it was always going to live in the middle, and good was going to, you know, this is a dystopian reality, and there's not really a positive thread that you take away from it.
Yeah.
And so those kind of movies for an American ticket buying audience are just like, I don't know, harder, you know, maybe The Exorcist or something did well at the theaters.
Yeah.
But that's the horror.
Because we're scared.
Right. People know what to expect with that.
You're going in to be scared, and so this is like a science fiction story. So I'm trying to think like Planet of the Apes must have made money, but that kind of has, I'm thinking of the new one, not the old ones, but I bet the old ones probably did well in the theater too, like the early versions. Maybe.
Are you a fan of the old ones, Matt?
Not as much, no.
Okay.
Like I probably saw a couple.
Yeah.
But I do love the reboot.
Me
too. Yeah,
so great.
The last 3 or whatever it's been, they're just incredible.
It's so funny when you say the way you're describing Blade Runner, which is essentially you leave depressed. That's basically that's the takeaway. You're not scared or happy or hopeful. You just end up, contemplating your existence, and if your family is lucky, you'll leave a suicide note.
Yeah. Well, it probably, like, I don't know. It is true. Like, it isn't an uplifting tale, but it's so compelling.
It is. Yeah.
It's so compelling, and like, I don't need to live in that space. And I didn't walk away like feeling bleaker about the world. I just thought that was like a masterpiece of like art. You know what I mean? Like, it just transported me instantly to a different reality. And the future, if it's done well, whether it's bleak or whether it's optimistic, if it's done well, it's like you're taken to another time, and you totally, like, even the past, obviously, it's just taking you out of your regular common day existence. So that's a feat in itself.
Yeah. And I just love that, it talks about, or, alludes to, obviously artificial intelligence, what it means to be alive. Like, you feel for this Rachel. She doesn't know she's a replicant, but so that kind of gets you wondering, like, she doesn't know she's not a real organic, human being, but so, like, what does that mean to be alive,
Yeah, it's like, does it matter?
Right, does it matter?
Right?
Yeah.
She has
like,
her own feelings and her own identity.
Right.
And
yeah.
and that's what Deckard's attracted to, is just, she seems like a woman to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, she's a beautiful replicant.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah.
That's what he's attracted to.
Definitely.
But, yeah, it is interesting. Like, she's not awake to her being a replicant until, like, Deckard crosses her path or whatever.
Right,
So that journey sets her free. So she's kind of awakened in a good way, because the truth is painful, but from the truth comes growth.
Right.
And so she does get growth, and she obviously breaks free of, like, her delusion that she's an equal to Tyrell when really she's a slave.
Right.
And so Deckard sets her free, but it's super painful. And sometimes, yes, which is true about being human, like, it is better to be delusional, but when you get through the tough stuff, you're generally happy that you woke up to what you were delusional to,
There's a struggle, I guess, maybe is the key word, I guess. There's truth and pain at the end. Or at the end, there's some sort of a reward. And this entire movie is a struggle.
I mean, I think
she's a fugitive. She's obviously a fugitive when she chooses to leave.
Yeah.
And, like, she'll be hunted, he's stepping out of the game because he found love, seemingly, or he's hiding her, certainly.
And she didn't, to our morality, she has done nothing wrong, right? To the viewer's morality, at least, right? She's sentenced to death only because of her existence, which we find, as a viewer, strange, because she's not trying to. She's not even Roy Batty, who we also love, or Leon, rather, or someone like that.
Right.
Yeah, and it's in a way that, like, you reminded me of, like, the soundtrack is unbelievably important to this story working. So like the sort of blaring horn and the fire refinery at the beginning sets up that Tyrell Corporation is an evil corporation. Yeah. It definitely, like, sends you into that room going, like, oh, this is, like, a bad guy.
Right.
Even though he's not villainous, he's just like, oh, this is a bad guy. So in a way, like, Ridley Scott is setting up a cautionary tale, which is maybe why it's not so necessarily dystopian, because he's telling you, current time human watching this movie, like, here's the bad guy. If we don't make some choices, we're going to go down this path.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So in a way, like, unconsciously, I think I watched it that way. Like, you just get into it and you're like, "Oh wow, this is so fucked up. Look at this world."
Right.
I don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah. But he's caught the way he frames it in the first 5 minutes. He's contextualizing the bad guy and the bad world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not like, ignore all this. Don't worry about this. He's saying, like, no, this is actually the point.
Right. And it's so engrossing that you're kind of drawn into.
Yeah. Well, then you get into the story, right? You forget about right and wrong of where they are in that moment.
Yeah, it's sort of hypnotic the way he tells this story. You want it, you just want to know more. What is it? You again, it just churns my brain. I feel like I can't get enough of it. Enough of these thoughts and these ideas.
Well, and then on top of it, I mean, you got the whole monologue that Roy Batty gives at the end.
Beautiful,
but it stems from Rachel being implanted with memories, and then Batty talks about his memories, and then saying, all these memories are like, tears in rain,
lost in time.
Lost in time, yeah, like tears in rain. Like, it's like, what are our memories?
Yeah,
like,
what's the difference, right?
Yeah, like, what are what differences do our memories make? They're just going to be lost. Like
He saw
years in
gunships off the shoulder of Orion or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
That's way better than what I saw.
Yeah, I've seen things you wouldn't believe.
Yes, exactly. Have you ever, Mr. Walsh? Have you ever met Harrison Ford or Ridley Scott?
No.
Or Rucker Howard.
Man.
I have
Sorry.
never met Harrison Ford or Ridley Scott. I know people who worked for. I know one guy who was Harrison Ford's driver on some movie.
Yeah.
And he just told me a funny story where he basically forgot his keys and he was hammered and he was driving him home. So Harrison Ford had to like climb his own security gate.
Oh man.
Just amazing, you know?
That's amazing.
That's like the guy. That's what I want to hear about Harrison Ford. He's still an animal.
Like,
He can still-
God damn it! I gotta climb over my fence.
What's the most common thing you hear on the street when people recognize you?
Me?
Yeah.
I love how you're going from Harrison Ford. I love being.
I know.
Harrison Ford. I must make you think of Harrison Ford.
Yeah, you just have that way about you. You're a
I think
pilot,
it's
right?
Obviously, recently like Veep, but you know, or it's many versions of things. There's fans that I used to do live theater at the Upright Citizens Brigade, so people would see a show there and go, "I love your improv." I would see people who saw like a cult show called Dog Bites Man occasionally that people love, or I get a lot of, dude, I know, oh, you're that guy. Like I'm not famous, but they're like, you're so funny, man. Oh my God. And then they start remembering all the things I've been, and then it's like they're looking at my IMDb, but I'm talking to them.
It's like 500 credits.
Yeah, it's like a slow burn recognition. Like, dude, oh my God, you're so funny. You know, and then so that's kind of a variety of recognitions I get. Or they'll clock me right away and like, I saw you in this, or I saw you in this show. So I get a variety of recognitions.
Of course, V, but I just have to say this. I love the movie Role Models. You're playing Ken Jeong's sort of bodyguard, whatever that. I think that, I don't know if it's guilty pleasure. I don't know what to call it. I think that movie's fantastic. It's got a great cast, and that's my call out to you.
Fantastic movie. I agree. It's like one of those. It's a rare lightning in a bottle kind of.
I think so too.
For me, I have to mention.
What's yours, Ben?
we're gushing over you now, Matt Walsh, after we just debated about AI and what the importance of it.
Deckard is a human. God damn it!
Deckard is a human, but semi-pro. When you say he said S my C. I love that. I love that line. So yeah, you my friend, you're just in everything, dude. Just
I mean, it's
stop.
never been anything you haven't been in.
Yeah.
So.
I'm a working character.
This is another thing. We'll wrap.
He's like, yes, I know who I am. Stop reminding me.
We'll blame your daughter if we go a little long, but I gotta ask this. So you're an Emmy nominee, all right? Two-time Emmy nominee.
Two-time Emmy nominee.
What?
I got nominated for my role as Mike McClintock on Veep.
Yeah.
And I did not win. The first time I lost to Louis Anderson, who played a character on Baskets.
Yeah.
Love that show. Time, I lost to Alec Baldwin, who played Trump on SNL.
Son of a bitch.
That's the lamest one, because Louis Anderson was actually really good on Baskets. Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. It's kind of like, that's pretty great. He's pretty great.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin, you're kind of like, he's not even a cast member, really.
No, I know. And it seems more just anti-Trump than anything else. It's just like, let's award on talent here versus, whatever our preferences
Not that
are.
I would have won if he didn't win. I couldn't tell you who else.
Well,
Tony. I think Tony.
Tony is great.
Also
yes,
Tony's great too. Yeah.
we're working on getting him on the show as well. So
what was your question?
My question is, I mean, honestly, Matt, come on. So when you're sitting there, well, here is where it gets cut off. Again, I was asking him, wanted to, him to be a little more candid and say, when you are nominated for an Emmy, sure, you're going to say, oh, just happy to be nominated. But how do you truly feel when your name doesn't get called? How does that truly feel? Are you kind of mad, like, I really wanted to win? Or are you like, I didn't expect to win, great for that guy? Like, how do you really feel? That's essentially what I was trying to ask him at the end when I kicked the plug. And here is the response he so kindly sent over.
It doesn't feel great when you don't win an Emmy. The Emmys play a trick on your mind. When you were nominated, you were super excited and you feel special. You get tons of congratulations from your friends and you get loads of attention from people in the industry. And then you get to go on a press junket where they celebrate you and the other Emmy nominees in your category. And you go to various parties and photo shoots and gifting suites where they treat you like a VIP. It's wonderful and you truly appreciate it. And you're grateful for just being nominated. At the actual Emmy ceremony, you arrive in your tuxedo and you walk the red carpet and you feel special again. And you're reminding yourself that it's an honor just to be nominated. Once they get to your category and you're sitting in your seat and they put a live camera on your face in case you win, all you can think about is, I have to win this goddamn award and it's the only thing I care about. And then they announce the winner and it's not you. And you're disappointed, but you're able to slightly enjoy the rest of the ceremony. And then you go to the parties after the ceremony and you really just want to go home because you didn't win. But of course you stay because some of your friends have won an Emmy and you're happy for them. That is the Emmy roller coaster.
Well, there you have it, folks. Again, a lot of chaos ensued in this episode, but again, one for the books, one for the history books. It's gonna be a great memory for the show, great memory for the people he texted. So yeah, good stuff all around. And again, Matt, thanks so much for coming on, and thanks so much for sending that audio clip. You did not have to do that. We would have made do, but you made it so much better. So all right, folks, well, that is it for us. Again, you can follow us at BlockbusterCast on Twitter and on Instagram at Blockbuster Mentality. Go to blockbustermentality.com as well. And yeah, make sure you listen to Matt's podcast, Second in Command, in which they rewatch their series Veep. But all right, well, that is it for us, folks. For Matt and Dave, I'm Ben. And as always, grab some popcorn, grab some snacks. We'll catch you guys at the movies. And to close out the show, here is the moment that we lost Matt.
What was your question?
My question is, I mean, honestly, Matt, come on. So when you're sitting there waiting to hear the fuck.
What? I think we. Uh-oh. That could have. Was that the studio? Was that the whole? Is that your foot?
Yep.
Oh wow! That's one for the. Don't punch your face.
I know.
don't punch your own face. Do you need this? No. It's just you kicked it. What happened? Maybe we had a thunderstorm. A tornado blow through. Should I talk now?
Hey, you're fine.
What happened?
We got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, but until the... Was it a kick? What happened?
I don't know.
Oh, I was grabbing.
I was just...
I was grabbing. He's been great.
I know.
I like in the beginning when I told him he had a family emergency. Oh, it's converting. Yeah, make sure we got the... You need that. For you. You definitely don't want to lose that. Y'all have a meeting converting.